We are live, prop time live. We are live. This is 9:44 a.m. on October 18th, 2024, Friday. And as you know, Friday always means our weekly college football prop show, hopefully starting on time tonight. But still wanted to put this out because I haven't got to do any podcasts or videos in the last 2 days, but for good reasons. So I'm not too upset, but wanted to go over a couple of NFL games, and then I wanted to get into some derivative bets in more detail, in addition to the props, just because now there's more data, and those can be a nice addition as well with the props. So with the derivatives, mainly going to be talking football first halves and first quarters, both NFL and college. So we're going to do both of them now. The lines that you would generate to price these fairly, they involve using the full game spreads and total. So there's a lot of calculations you can do. You can do it yourself, or there are places that almost do it for you. I know Unabated, I believe OddsJam, and but don't quote me on that. But you can generate your own chart. But the real reason I'm saying that is just not a whole lot of empirical backing on these things. I mean, you could cite, this team is scored this many points in the first half of each game, but all that stuff is baked in, and you're not getting an edge or anything there. So there is one thing with the NFL do have, and again, it's not my favorite thing to use, but I do have what I would say is akin to a push chart, but it also shows the record and over under ROIs for the NFL derivatives. We are going to talk some college. I don't have this data for college. And with this, this is more, I don't want to say a tiebreaker, but let's say I have, a bet that shows value, and then maybe I want a little bit of support. Maybe I'm a little I don't just want to fire, just because there's some value. I can look here and, just look, I'll just give you an example. As of right now, I'm looking at NFL first quarters against the spread. So wherever there's a spread, normally it's minus half, but I have seen some get to 1.5 in like outrageous situations where they can't even juice it to the moon on the half. But here, for example, an under ROI for the Bengals this year would be 55.8%, because they're 1-5, 1 over, 5 unders, 0 pushes. Same things with Chicago, and you can go on the other end. And this is with I should say this is with totals, not spreads. Totals. I do have spread data, but totals. And on the flip side, the Vegas Raiders 5-1 to the over, Texans 5-1 to the over, Vikings 4-1 to the over, Buffalo 5-1 to the over, Chargers 4-1 to the over. So I do have that to kind of assist, but a lot of the fair pricing is just done based off full game lines. And even if I could show you how to derive this and set up your own derivative chart, it's the math would make people fall asleep. But I'm sure there are plenty of articles out there that can assist you with that. But last night I had given out the Broncos spread first quarter bet that hit. I believe I gave it out. I know I bet it, but I believe I gave it out. If I didn't, oh well. Now you know. I bet that little little moot now. But yeah, so let's move into some derivatives. I have some for college first halves and then NFL first quarters and then a bonus fourth quarter bet. So let's get started with that. The college halves that I like are, had all these written down. I'm just hoping they haven't all changed. And I think they're all going to be totals for college, I believe. I only had like one or two. There is some value showing tonight for, by the way, I'm not going to be betting this at all. That's over 31.5 plus 104 FanDuel first half, Oregon, Purdue. I don't like this spot for Oregon. Let me just say that. I do not like this spot. You're coming off a mammoth win, a colossal win. They changed the rules because of your win. And now you're coming on a short week, coming in to face Purdue off that high. I don't like that spot for Oregon. I'm not saying they lose the game, but I like Purdue to cover the spread there. I like the point total to be lower on the full game. And so I'm not going to but it does one of those services unabated I mentioned did have a 31.5 plus 104 FanDuel edge going at least earlier this morning. All right. So the ones that I have that I think are good are, and this is Nebraska, Indiana, under 24.5 minus 110 at DraftKings. And let's hook you guys up with a couple other college first halves. Let's see if what I wrote out is still accurate. I did have one other one. Kentucky was involved, but I don't know who they're. Florida. Okay, Kentucky, Florida. I like the first half under. And that's 21.5 minus 122 at FanDuel. So I'll actually add these ones to the Google sheet because I'm playing them. And we'll get those. Let me just make sure there's nothing else. There's some others that kind of caught my eye, but I wasn't. Yeah, I don't want to touch these. I mean, there's some edges, but I think those two are the best of the bunch by far from what I looked at earlier. So it should be good. Let's see what else we have here that is not Outlook popping up in the bottom of my screen, giving me a heart attack. All right, we'll call it on the NCAA because we're going to go into our NFL preview, so we might as well just segue now into the NFL derivatives. Let's go ahead and find the NFLs here. There wasn't much on the first halves at all. If you needed action, like you needed air to breathe, and it had to be on an NFL first half total, I would say take the over in Kansas City, San Francisco. but I'm not thrilled with that bet, and I am not playing it. But that is, if I had to give you anything, that's what I would say. All right, so now let's take a look at some first quarter totals with respect to the NFL that I liked. Biggest one sticks out right away is Jets at Steelers. And that's and I will be betting this over 6.5 first quarter total. And it's minus 150 at FanDuel. I just think the Jets are going to score a touchdown. And if Pittsburgh probably won't, but even if they go field goal, I understand both great defenses, and I'm really playing this for the Jets because I think the Jets are going to come out a little bit re-energized. I don't know if Davante Adams plays. If he does, I don't really think he's a huge factor in and of his performance itself, but I think he's a big factor in drawing away other defenders or maybe the scheme being over concentrated on Davante. Let's see what the I gotta figure that these are in the under on the year. Let me take a look. Let me see where our teams are here. The Jets are 3-2-1, so one push to the over, which would give you a season-long ROI if you were just blindly betting first quarter totals that involve the New York Jets for 12.69%. So again, I don't put much stock into that, but it does, it is a little bit of empirical, us using some empirical stuff to gouge these bets. I know people say, they have models and I do, and other people have way more complex ones. But I think it's one of the things I disagree with the betting consensus on is that you can't use any empirical evidence, basically, almost to justify your bet. Like, how are you going to tell somebody who rewatches game film and was an expert on the backup offensive line and backup quarterbacks, and they've watched all this, that some little nuggets that they picked up in their head can't influence whether or not they believe something is a good bet or not. I'm not saying maybe to justify a wager, but to look for support on something that you are looking to bet on, but are a little questionable. The Steelers have the same thing, 3-2-1 again, although their ROI just based off of the juice is a little bit higher, actually, at 14.6%. So we have good support on the trends. I don't like using the trends, but again, we have a good bet with some numbers, and then we can look to some trends to just kind of reinforce our belief, right? We don't formulate a bet based on what these teams are doing on the year. Just what we want to go beyond that in finding a bet. We want to use numbers. Again, I know all these are, until you create a derivatives chart, you can't really do much, but there are a bunch of different tools and programs and services out there to help you calculate these. Another first quarter total I was looking at, but was not as big. It was, what we got here? Seattle and Atlanta. Also on the over at minus 125 DraftKings. So it's 9.5, by the way. There is an under out there. I believe it was a Pinnacle at 10. Or no, I'm sorry, that was for another game. Yeah, I like this one. Let's for numbers reasons, let's just check our empirical, see if we have any support from our trends. Again, we're just looking for some support. If we have some things alarming on here, maybe we could back off a bet, but we never use trends to formulate a wager. Never, ever, ever, ever. All right, we are looking at, I know, Seattle, which does not appear to, no, they're 2-4 to the over here. That's not enough for me to sway away from this at all. And let's see, I'm sorry, I already forgot their opponent. The Falcons, let's see where the Falcons are on here. Atlanta's 3-3-2, so not enough where I would deviate from a bet that I think has some positive value here. I mean, if they were both 1-4, I might say, all right, let me pump the brakes on that. But I think it's enough. I like that Atlanta and Seattle first quarter over. Let's see if we got some first quarter spreads that are we can use. Oh, well, actually, before I do that, I got to give away the bonus bet now, just because it is a quarters bet, but it is not a first quarter bet. It is not. Let me find this bad boy for you, wherever I jotted this down. Oh, come on. I know it was. How is this not in the notes? Oh, okay. Here's our note. Carolina, Washington, fourth quarter total under 14.5 minus 125. And that is at DraftKings. So we have three quarter total bets. Let's make our way into some derivative or some first quarter spread action. Just open this. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just loading a little bit here, but we'll get there. All right, and this is probably, I believe this is a, I want to double check because I think this is an alt line that I had before. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I believe it's an alt line. Hang on one second. I just want to make sure because I don't want you guys like fumbling through. It's at FanDuel. I don't want you fumbling through FanDuel trying to find something that's not there. if this isn't accurate. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it is. Okay. It's not alt line. I guess most of these first quarter spreads are now one and they run two ways. They run -1.5 for the favorite, and then only plus a half for the other side in a lot of these cases, which is interesting. But all right, first quarter spread bet, NFL, and we're gonna do San Fran -1.5 plus 140 FanDuel. Let's do one more here. Don't like that one because I actually could play on that better. All right, and that's for another one. We're gonna go with Colts -0.5 plus 120 DK. All right, so that'll handle that'll be it for the derivatives part of the show. I do want to now move into the NFL preview. We'll see how much we can get done. I may have to stretch it. I don't like stretching it, but it may just be one of those things I have to do. Just take a look here. All right, so we're in England for this game between the Jags and the Patriots. I'm trying to get, what are we going to have? We're going to have rain. I don't know if it's in Wembley Stadium's indoors, though. I should know that, but I don't know that, and I feel like an idiot. It is an open stadium. Okay. Yeah, so there's going to be some rain. It doesn't look like there's going to be a fuck ton. And then some winds, 9 miles per hour blowing southwest. It's not worst. All right. Yeah. So there's nothing too crazy there. I like New England in this one. The spread is 6. Power ratings, we have this with Jacksonville -4.5. So our power ratings would say New England, and although they are 0-4-1 against the spread in the last 5, because I know people at home will be looking at that, wondering what to do, trying to figure it out. The regression to the mean, if you're really looking for some statistics, but don't want to move too far off that because I want to give you the reason that will also support our Patriots bet here. So Jacksonville and New England, with respect to passing efficiency, to date, they're basically even, but it doesn't really reflect what Drake May did last week, because with just one game of Drake May, the overall passing efficiency for the Patriots offense so far this season ranks number 31. However, the Jaguars defense, like the reverse metric of that, they're number 32, if you can believe that. And then even if you look on the other side of the token, passing efficiency for the Jags is 24. And then the reverse metric for the defense, Patriots, they're 24. But here's what you got to remember. Texans lead the league in pressure rate. Drake May was sacked 4 times last week against the Texans. All right, so they have the highest pressure rate in the league, and he was sacked 4 times. Now they play the Jaguars, who have generated a pressure rate of just 25.1% in the league when not blitzing, which is it's actually the 5th lowest rate in the NFL, but haven't fared much better when they send extra rushers, because they don't blitz that often. They blitz 17.8% of the time, which is the 2nd lowest in the NFL. And they've generated a pressure rate that we just went over. In week 6, Drake May, obviously his debut, was pressured on just under half of his dropbacks, completing 15 for 81 yards and an interception when not pressured. However, he went 12 of 18 for 162 yards, including 3 touchdowns, but did have 1 pick. You also look at Jacksonville just as a defense, just looking like, I think Caleb Williams is playing better than people think, but they gave up 4 touchdowns to Caleb, but he is also a rookie. He was only picked a couple of spots. Obviously, he and Jaden, I think, are a league above Drake May, but Drake didn't look terrible last week. Did not look terrible. And so with that and the power ratings in mind, I do like New England +6 here, actually playable. I'm not sure if I will, if I do play it, it would be a graded selection. One game we can sort of count already, I'll just say, because I've already made a bet on this game, is Tennessee +9.5 against the Bills. So that game, that's the pick. That's graded selection. That's in there like swimwear already. We're not getting, if it's women, I like to get swimwear off, but you know the expression. So I like the Patriots in this game. I want to move on to our next game, which is Detroit and Minnesota. These teams, I mean, they're pretty evenly matched. I mean, just taking a quick glance here, points per game, the Lions are at 30.2. That's first. Vikings 27.8. That's fifth. Point differential, Vikings are first, +63. Lions are second, +60. Record in close games, Lions 2-1, Vikings 3-0. Margin of victory, 16 point average margin of victory, 16 points for the Lions, 12.6 points for the Vikings. They are both fifth, Lions, and then seventh, the Vikings, in turnover differential. And in total penalties on the year, the Vikings have 37 and the Lions have 39. Not a whole lot of real matchup advantages. Really only the Lions, with respect to the Vikings' overall rushing efficiency, ranks number 24th, and the Lions defensive rushing efficiency ranks number 9. That's about as big of an advantage you're going to get here. I mean, overall passing efficiency, Lions 5, Vikings 2. Overall rushing efficiency on offense for the Lions, number 4. For defense for the Vikings, number 2. Pressure rate, Lions, number 13. Vikings defense, number 8. There's not, just in the general sense, a whole lot. The one couple areas of concern for me, which I think are pretty big, kind of shows you, it can almost give you like a kind of game script sort of thing if you're looking at this. Let me tell you what I mean. The Vikings defense is number 1 against the quick pass, right? And they are also number 2 when it comes to defending quarterback scrambles, and the Lions are 28th in QB scrambles. So if you want to put them in formations that lend themselves to quick passes or flush Goff out of the pocket, if you can't, it's not that anyone's ever thought that he's a dual threat or anything. But if he's out scrambling out of the pocket all the time, or he's having to make quick throws because of pressure coming, I think it could be a long day for Detroit. Conversely, there's really not much. I guess the long passing, according to NFL Pro, number 2 Lions offense, Vikings defense number 10. There's just not a whole lot here. The one thing I will say about Detroit, notwithstanding what I just went over the matchups, is the Lions offense has recorded a league high 50.3% overall success rate this season, the highest rate of any offense in a season since 2016. And rushing has been particularly the most effective, with a 49.7% rushing success rate, which is the 3rd highest in a season since 2016. Only this season's Washington Commanders have generated more EPA per play on run plays than the Lions during this same span. So the Lions are scoring on offense and they're running the ball well. And Minnesota's doing about everything well, with some advantages, I think, on the defensive end. Then you look at the Lions losing Aiden Hutchinson, which is big in their own right. My power ratings say Detroit -1. They're getting 1.5. For some reason, I'm not even looking at home field with that. It's already incorporated in. It just seems like everybody and their brother, when they see that game, is going to think Detroit, the Lions, high-powered offense, underdogs, and it almost feels like I should be taking Minnesota, but I will ride with almost what will certainly be a public dog. And if I have a wager, it will be Detroit. It would be on Detroit up to -1. So I probably actually wouldn't even look to play it at -1. I probably just look to play it at this +1 or plus money, anything plus money or less. But as of right now, no bet, unlike the Patriots, where we did have one. Moving on to, let's see who we want to do next here. So may not get all these in, but I can't spend all, because I just can't spend all morning doing this because I have to accomplish things so that we can do the prop show later on. So let me skip the Giants and the Eagles because they stink, the Giants, and I just don't want to talk about that game. So if you're wondering who's going to win, it's the Eagles. All right, so let's move to a game where there's actually something going on here, and it's a good game on a 1 o'clock slate, or on paper it is. It's 5-1 Texans traveling to Lambeau to take on Green Bay. Loaded NFC North, by the way. I know every fucking pundit in the goddamn world has made that remark, but it is what it is. It's just the key. I think the Texans offense has they have a little bit of an edge in rushing efficiency. Or I'm sorry, the Packers defense in stopping the run has a little bit of advantage because their Texans offensive rushing efficiency is number 28. Packers defense is number 8. Big advantage for, let's go, it's pretty even. Then you go to the Texans. They have the number 1 pressure rate on defense, reverse metric on offense, number 15 for the Packers offense. So with the pressure they're getting on the quarterback, but the Packers have done okay. Jordan Love has done okay against the blitz, and so it should be all right. Let's see if we can get into something a little more. Yeah, I mean, just putrid rushing match. Another thing that favors the Green Bay defense. Deep passing. The Texans offense is ranked number 19, and Green Bay is number 3 on the defensive end. But then if you switch from deep to quick passing, you go number 3 Texans offense, number 17 Green Bay defense. QB scrambles. I don't really know how much Jordan Love does scramble. I know they're number 7 on offense with QB scrambles, but the Texans defense is number 31. So that's where you get some advantages for Green Bay there. And then rushing out of the shotgun, believe it or not, it's a weird stat, but Packers offense number 3, Texans defense number 21 when it comes to that. I'd probably say some of these matchup stats sort of lean Green Bay. But let's see what else we got here. We had Joe Mixon run for 102 yards and a touchdown on just 13 carries in his return in week 6, recording 77 of his rushing yards before contact. Mixon now averaging 2.2 yards before contact per carry this season, the 3rd most among running backs with at least 40 carries after contacting opposing rushers before the line of scrimmage on 46.5% of carries through the first 4 weeks of the season. The Packers defense has lowered that rate to just 27.5% over the last 2 weeks. Rashawn Gary, he's a defensive end, Green Bay. He's generated 16 pressures on 153 rushes this season, and it's a career low of a 10.5% pressure rate. He's been struggling with his first step, recording an average get off of 0.93 seconds, which is the slowest of career and 16th slowest among edge rushers who have at least 75 pass rushes this season. He doesn't seem to be very effective. I might go somewhere different. Another thing I would like to talk about just with Jordan Love, he's completed 20 of 34 passes off play action this year, recording 341 yards and 4 touchdowns and a 132.1 passer rating, which is second in the NFL. He's generated plus 48.2 expected points added, EPA, and play action passes since becoming a starter in 2023. That's the 5th most in the NFL over that span. Opposing quarterbacks have thrown 5 touchdowns off play actions against the Texans this season, recording a 126.4 passer rating, which would have been the 3rd highest in the NFL. So close game. I think there's definitely some things that favor Green Bay, but they got to do something with Rashawn Gary. We have this game, Green Bay -1. I know the market does not have that. They have Green Bay -3, although it's even money. So I'm probably going to pass on this one, because if I was going to take somebody, I would take Green Bay. But if I had them as a 1-point favorite and they're -3, it's just not worth it to me unless I get some other info down the line that makes that a bettable game reasonably. All right. And I guess we'll check the weather at Lambeau too, because it is outdoors. We're looking 70% chance of rain, showers, 10-mile-per-hour winds blowing southwest. So I'm not really sure how that relates to this stadium, meaning like what direction it would go in, and if that has any bearing on coin toss, if you see people deciding what end they want to play from. I don't think it's that situation, but who knows with Lambeau. All right. Then what else did we have here? Trying to at least get in a couple more. How am I running on time here? All right, yeah, I got about 10 more minutes-ish, maybe a little less. We got to wrap this up. But I don't want to just go rapid fire through what power rankings are. Let's jump to Seattle and Atlanta. Try and get some games that I think at least look good. And then after that, I'm not going to do Kansas City and San Fran today. I will probably do them tomorrow as an add-on to the prop show, just because, it's a Super Bowl rematch. So after that, I'm going to go to Carolina and Washington to preview. But all right, we start Seattle with Seattle and Atlanta. Seattle recording close games, 2-0. Recording close games. Falcons, they've been in a lot of close games. They're 3-2. Sort of these base metrics are pretty even. Not huge advantages across the board, more in a general sense, meaning, we talk a lot about passing efficiency, or rushing efficiency, pressure rate. Seahawks offense, they're grade number 19, and really where the Falcons defense, they're number 32 in pressure rate. They don't get any pressure on the quarterback. So Geno Smith should have time to throw, even though they're only number 19 on the offensive end of that metric. If we want to move along to see if we do have any other. Okay, here's one for the Falcons. When facing no pressure, they're number 7 offense, Falcons. When facing no pressure, in the Seahawks defense, when defending with no pressure, is number 28. So Kirky, you could be looking at him. Here's another one too. This may affect your anytime touchdown scores. Falcons offense, number 30 rushing in the red zone. Seahawks defense in the red zone, number 1. So I think those are pretty much decidedly like the two biggest advantages. The one thing that one other one I will mention here is QB scramble. Seahawks are number 5 on offense, defending in QB scrambles. Falcons defense number 29. And again, sort of talking about the Falcons not getting any pressure. Geno Smith has been at his best this year when kept clean, recording a 61.7% pass rate when not pressured. That's first in the NFL compared to 30.2% when under pressure, and that's only 21st. The Falcons have only pressured the quarterback on 23% of their dropbacks, and they're the only team under 25% of dropbacks. So, or 25% pressure on the quarterback on dropbacks. And despite this, they keep the offense in front of them as they have the second lowest air yards per attempt and have only allowed 4.1 yards after the catch per reception in the NFL, which is second on plays without pressure. So they've kind of kept the offenses generally in check, but Geno Smith has been slinging when protected, and it doesn't look like the Falcons are going to get much pressure. I'm sure they will try, but they've been and another offensive player for, and don't get Falcons fans, we'll get to you. DK Metcalf. Metcalf has accumulated 212 of his 469 yards and both of his touchdowns on go routes, which are the most yards gained by any player on any single particular route this season. So there's a little tiny add-on. Here's for Atlanta. Bijan Robinson. Remember we talked about not goal line. What was it? Rushing in the red zone. The Falcons were number 30 and Seattle's defense number 1, right? All right. Bijan Robinson has faced a light box on 62.2% of his carries this season, which is the third highest among running backs with a minimum of 25 carries. He's generated the fastest average speed among running backs by the time he reaches the line of scrimmage at 11.54 miles per hour. When facing a light box defenses, he's paired his, I don't know what you would call it, but let's just say that he has forced 15 missed tackles against light boxes first for an extra 81 yards gained from such missed tackles, which is tied for third. The Seahawks had allowed a league high 6.3 yards per carry on design runs when utilizing light boxes this season. So maybe you do get any time out of that. I don't know. Just doing some little comparisons there, and nothing crazy as far as injuries that I know of. I know people got a little freaked out because Bijan was limited in practice, but he was just resting. Same with Matthew Judon on defense for the Falcons. I'm sure Tyler Lockett is questionable with a knee, and he did not practice yesterday. So that might be something to look out for. Our power ratings have this game at Atlanta -1.5. It is currently -3. I will take the road dog and probably actually play this game. I'll add it to the sheet. And I like betting the dogs this week too. I mean, the chalks were 9-2 last week. There's got to be a little more sense come back to earth. I don't want to just back every dog blindly, but I think the two that I've had, New England and what do you want to call it? Seattle now would be good. They're -115, but I'm going to check the line history, see if there's any maybe +3 105s to buy a half point off of, or just see if maybe we can even get a +3 to -110 or even money. Yeah, that game's indoors, so weather's not going to matter. And so, yeah, we did get one more play out of the last game in our condensed preview here is the 1-5 Carolina Panthers traveling on the road to take on the 4-2 Washington Commanders, leaders of the NFC East, I believe. And if they are, I can't believe I'm saying that. Pretty lopsided spread here, -8 Washington. Start with what our power ratings are with this. If I can find them. -6.5. So we're over a key number and have about a 1.5 on the power rating. So at this point, we're leaning Carolina. Points per game, Panthers 28, Commanders second. But again, I don't know how many games Dalton's been in, but Bryce Young is fucking awful. It's actually funny because I'm looking at the stats for the record in close games, and the Panthers are 0-0 because they haven't been in any close games. We do know Washington is 2-1 in close games. Slight edges for Washington on turnover differential and total penalties. They will pretty much all game advantages when looking at most metrics. I mean, it's just especially on offense and passing. Just something. Long passing, the Commanders number 1 on offense. The Panthers defense number 31. Passing versus play action. Washington is number 2. The Panthers defense number 32. Passing versus the blitz. The Commanders number 1. Panthers 30th. Overall passing efficiency. Commanders number 2. Panthers defense number 30. Even rushing in the red zone, but rushing. Washington number 3 offense. Panthers defense number 30. Really, the only thing that favors, which is something to not just brush away because it's good to have pressure. The pressure rate for Panthers on offense, they handle pressure well. The number 8 in that, and Washington's pressure rate is only number 20 on defense, so they're in the lower echelon of getting or in that respect. I talked a lot about Andy Dalton in an article that I wrote on some passing and interceptions props for him. So I don't want to go too crazy, but we'll talk about a advanced stat on Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard has gained more yards than expected on 55.4% of his carries this season. That's the highest among running backs who have at least 50 or more carries in total. Chuba has generated 129 rushing yards over expectation in 2024, 5th most in the league. He has been effective rushing outside the tackle box, most yards per carry on such rushes among running backs with a minimum of 25 carries, and the 4th most rush yards over expectation, plus 110. When you look at the matchup, the Commanders have allowed the 2nd most yards per carry to outside rushes this season at 5.9. I look for the Commanders to do what they've been doing. I look for the Panthers to run the ball a little bit more. It's tough for me. I don't know that I can lay the 8 points here, but I don't know that I can take the points on the Cardinals or on the Panthers. So this one's probably a pass for me, to be completely honest. I just want to go real quick so I don't forget, if we don't do this on, where are we? Hang on one sec. Just in case we don't preview both Monday night games, my favorite bet this week is the Cardinals money line. So I'll be taking the Cardinals money line, just in case we don't get to that. So what'll happen is I always leave a little lag time from the stream to give people who listen the chance to go out and bet, and those who didn't have to wait. But then I will drip feed them onto X, and yeah, and then you can get them there, and they'll be added to the Google sheet. But all right, everyone, I am unfortunately out of time. Thank you for tuning in. College football prop show later tonight, probably sometime between 5 and 6:30 ish. All right. Until then, guys, take it easy.